Hello and welcome to the fall semester here at Mount College. My name is Ed Moulton. I'm going to be your instructor for MH110. So I want to get you a chance to see the surroundings of where I recorded a lot of the lecture videos and classwork videos that you'll be seeing throughout the class, and also where I'm going to be hosting classes remotely on Mondays where I'm going to go over material from that week and help you with problems that you may have. I want to switch from this environment to you seeing what's going on as my screen as I go through and tell you about the class, how I want you to access it, and other important things leading into the semester. At the end of this, there's going to be a quick quiz on information presented in the video that will count towards your grade and basically just establishes that you understand how the class works and that you watch this introduction. I look forward to working with you all semester. Welcome. So this is your course Canvas page. Welcome to College Algebra. I'm going to be showing you the version that I see, but basically I can go into Student View and show you the version that you see. This is where everything happens in the class. This is where all the stuff that you're going to do to come is going to show up and allow you to work through it. So you should be clicking on the Modules tab here within the Canvas page. Once you get there, the things that you can see right now are some policies and procedures that are there for everyone. A quiz called Welcome to College Algebra that right now doesn't have the video, but will have a link to this exact video here that will then allow you to go and take this quiz. The quiz has all answers from things that I'm going to go over here in this video. Things like, what is the main Canvas tab I should be using to work through the material in this class? The main Canvas tab I should be using is modules. The reason for that, again, if I look at these modules, this is how I've organized things so that you can work through all the material in college algebra. Here is the very first module, graphs and linear equations. The way that the information is organized is you start by clicking on the first page in the module. Within that page, there are 4 tabs. The Objectives tab. This tells you what we're trying to learn within this specific lesson in the module. The next tab is the PowerPoint Lecture tab. When I click on that, there's 2 different things in this tab. The first is a link that lets you download or look at the actual slides of the PowerPoint. So if I click on this, it's going to open in a new window, or actually I guess it gives me a preview, and then it's going to show me the slides from the very first lecture. You have access to all these slides. You can download them to your computer if you want. You can look at them on here, however it would best help you. Or you can just go to the link to the YouTube video of me going over all the slides. So if I press play here, I believe it's going to play in window as well. We begin this algebra class with understanding how to use the rectangular coordinate system. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to plot points as ordered pairs, how to look at a graph and break down where there are specific ordered pairs within that graph. So the goal here is to get the initial information. Once you get the initial information from this lecture video, then you can go to the Classwork tab. In the Classwork tab, my hope would be that you would click on this Word document that has questions exactly like the type that you'll be seeing on the homework. As you look at these questions, if you think you understand it, you feel good about them, feel free not to ever do these questions. They're never due. They're not something that I'm ever going to be collecting and grading. What they are is something that you can see the exact right answers to and me doing problems like the homework. So to be honest, these videos where I go over the classwork get way more views than the lecture because they're very specific to the types of problems I'm asking. This is the classwork for the first section in MH110. These questions are extremely similar to the way they're going to be asked on homework, so my goal with these classworks is to take what we've done in lecture and apply it to problems like what you're going to have to do for the online homework. So the hope is that as you work through this page, you first understand what we're trying to learn, then view a lecture just like you would in class. You have access to the slides, you have access to me going over the slides. If you're still a little confused on stuff after this, I always provide video examples where a different professor that I found on the internet and liked goes over the same general information. They're not necessarily going to be as particular to what I'm trying to teach in the class as far as the way that the question will be phrased, things like that, but they're going to get at the general topic, and sometimes it's better to get another viewpoint rather than always hearing it from me if it's not clicking when you hear it from me. The last tab, the classwork tab, again, has in a Word document a bunch of questions like what you'll see on the homework, and then me going over every one of those questions in a YouTube video. This is really something that will go up on a Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So basically, I try and put them up Wednesday night at midnight if I'm up. There will be times where I'm not up, so I'll do it first thing when I wake up on Thursdays. The hope is that you take Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to kind of work through these, look at the videos, look at the PowerPoints. If you have questions, definitely email them to me if I can be of help. But really, that's your time to try and work through the material on your own. Then, on Mondays, we'll hold a live class. You're always welcome to click on one of these problem sets ahead of time. And before I ever have the live class, if you feel comfortable with the material, if you're watching the lectures and it feels like you understand what's going on, feel free to try these as early as Thursday. First time that you click on one of these that says a date and the number of points, it's going to ask you to put in your Cengage credentials. This is probably the most important part of the demonstration to tell you how to do these credentials. So basically, you were given a login, username, and email for your email, username and password for your email. That's the exact information you need to put in for your Cengage account. So whatever Manor issued you as your original username, your original password, it already has an account on this website with your homework available. I have 2 students who are already rostered who probably were in a class like this previously and knew how it worked. If you weren't in a class like this previously, I completely understand if it's confusing how to get there. But basically, again, what you're going to do is you're going to go into modules, click on any assignment. Really, you should do the first assignment that has a date and a points value. When you click on that, it's going to come up with a Cengage login screen, put in your username and password from your original Manor email. At that point, you'll get to a screen where you can click on the specific assignment that's due and attempt it. So for instance, if I want to attempt graphing with rectangular coordinates, this is what that homework's going to look like. To plot the point with coordinates -5, 4.5, we start at the origin, we move 5 units to the left, and move 4.5 units up. When you finish a question, you're going to submit it. You get on the homework 5 opportunities at each question. So if you get one wrong, you can go back and change your answer, but you don't want to fly through those 5 opportunities. Basically, if you get it wrong a couple times, you want to stop, look back and see, hey, what is it that I'm not quite getting? Make sure that you go back and try and figure out the problem instead of just spamming answers at that point. The very nice thing about this system, I don't have any messages yet, but basically within this system, if you're having problems on the homework, you can send the question that's giving you trouble to me as an Ask Your Teacher. So if in this graphing rectangular coordinates question set, I get to something like this question, and I have no idea why it keeps marking me wrong on part B. There's a little button labeled Ask Your Teacher. If you click that Ask Your Teacher button, it's going to send me a copy of the question that you're being asked, the answer that you're trying to submit, and the answer that the system wants you to submit. It is incredibly helpful to me to be able to see what they want. There's times where students enter something as a decimal that's exactly correct, and the system wants a fraction for some reason. There's times where students are trying to enter a fraction, but they're doing it in just a slightly wrong way using the math type software. And by me being able to see what they're trying to enter, I can say, oh, you accidentally put a comma somewhere, or oh, you're using a division sign that it's not recognizing properly. So using that Ask Your Teacher feature is extremely helpful to me. It's the best way to ask your questions. Other things you'll find in the module. A discussion board. Every week you have these, you get full credit if you attempt it. I will correct any math errors within comments, but I'll give you 10 out of 10 points if all you do is try the problem. So you'll reply to these with your attempt. This first one asks you to connect dots in order to make a letter from your name. So I show how I would make an E on the coordinate plane for my name and do it in a list of coordinates like what I want. This highlighted part right here is what I'm asking each person to submit. So I want you to submit how to make the letter from your name as a list of coordinates like what's highlighted. Each week there's a discussion. There won't be discussions on test week, but any other week of the class, there will be a discussion board topic. They'll get posted on Wednesday nights, Thursday mornings, and be due the following Wednesday by 10:15 or by 11:59 p.m. There are also in-class assignments. These in-class assignments are in the form of quizzes that aren't really quizzes. What I mean by that is they do show up as a graded quiz. They do count towards your grade in the class. There's a section that's 10% of your grade on these quizzes. But this question number one, graph the point -3, 5, we start at the answer one, which is origin. Then we move 3 units to the answer two, which is right. Then 5 units to the answer three, or I'm sorry, not right, it was -3. 3 units to the left, and then 5 units up. So origin, left, up. Origin, left, up. I'm going to show you that in the class video that I do each week as an in-class activity. What I mean by it being a quiz but not really a quiz, I'm going to show you all the answers. As long as you view that video either live as I do it or after the fact, you will have literally every answer and get a 10 out of 10 on the quiz. So these in-class assignments show up in Canvas as quizzes, but really they're more of an attendance participation grade. Did you watch the video from that week's in-class assignment? And did you answer the question subsequently in the quiz? My hope is that there are students who can attend those in-class sessions where you can get your questions answered immediately. I'm going to be doing questions exactly like what you're going to see in the homework. So if we're working through this and I get to question number 6, complete the solution to the equation. Negative y equals x minus 6, 1 comma question mark. And I do out the problem and you have no idea how I did it. You're really confused how I got subtraction when you would have done it as addition. You can send me in a chat window, live right there, a question as it's phrased. How do I do this? I don't get this part. This isn't working for me. And I will try my best to answer your question directly on video for you. So if you are able to attend these live sessions, that's the best way to get your questions answered quickly. That said, again, I'm going to stay on top of these Ask Your Teachers. If you send me things through the web assign system, I'd say my average time to get back to students was probably in the region of 2 to 3 hours. I think that if it's a Wednesday night when things are due, I was probably much better than that. I really try, once I get my kids to bed by like 9, to make sure that 9 to midnight window that I'm there on top of it and answering things as quickly as possible. Again, I'm going to go out of my way to try and make sure that you have the help that you need to get through this class as best we can doing it virtually. Under this in-class assignment, you then see the second week's lessons. So I haven't put the web assign assignments in here yet for them, but basically each of these pages, if I clicked on it, rate of change in slope would be just like the first one that I clicked on with 4 tabs, what we're going to learn, PowerPoint with a lecture, video examples from another professor, classwork Word document, and me going over the classwork in the video. Once we get through all the individual lessons that build up to a test, at the end of the module is the test. Any test, there's going to be a live review session that week, which has questions like what's on the test. There's also going to be a full sample test that you do through WebAssign that does not count for your grade. After you complete the sample test, there's going to be a video of me going over every single problem on the sample test, and then there's the actual test that you'll attempt. It's exactly like the sample test. When you do the actual test, I need to warn you, it's the only time you don't get multiple attempts. You must answer every question one time correctly to get it correct. If you start the test, you cannot go out and come back in. If you miss the time for the test, you cannot make You cannot take the test after the deadline's passed. So every test is a hard deadline, must be turned in by that day. The homeworks I'm much more lenient on. I don't mind granting extensions, but with the test, it shows every student in the class, including yourself, a full answer key as soon as it's due, so that the test is no longer valid after the due date. I do this for a number of reasons, including to make sure that people feel actual urgency about taking tests by the deadline. When I didn't have these deadlines, when I was extending things left and right, I found a lot of students got way behind in the class and did not even attempt to keep up. When they tried to do everything at the end, there wasn't nearly enough time. I pace this class in a way where I really hope we have enough time to do everything we need to do. So I want you guys to try and stay on top of it. I know things come up. I don't mind extending things here or there, but I really want the test dates to be hard dates that you hit that are not changeable. That being said, I do have alternate versions of the test that I can make available if you get sick, if you have other things happen that preclude you from taking the test on time, but it makes it much more difficult and it makes it so that you're trying to learn new material while still trying to study for a test that's already passed. And I can't stress enough how important it is to try and make sure that you take the test on. You can see that we have a total of 5 modules in the class, each one the same way. We're going to work through information, do discussion boards, do in-class assignments, and then you're going to have a sample test and a test. At the end of the class, there is a final exam. The final exam will have a full sample final, and then it will have the sample final videos of me going over everything on the sample final, followed by the actual final. So this is the most important thing in the class, the modules page in Canvas, which is everything you work through, which is all the materials that you're going to be learning from in this course. I want to turn now to the syllabus just to go over how you'll be evaluated and all the information that's contained here. The course is MH110 REME College Algebra. It's 3 credits, and this semester is fall 2021. When I say online in-class session, meeting time is Mondays 1:30 to 2:45 p.m. That's when I'm going to be going over the in-class quiz. I'll be recording it in Echo 360, where there'll be a chat window you can interact with me in Echo 360. There also will be a capture of it, which will be uploaded to Canvas, so that if you miss any class, you can go back and watch it, which will then help you take the quiz. Or if you were there, you can still go back and watch it and learn from it. So my instructor information, my name's Ed Moulton. Room 41, I have been to maybe twice in the past 2 years. It's someplace that I expect to be a little more on campus. This coming semester, I probably will be on campus most Wednesdays, but it's not the best way to find me. The best way to find me is definitely to email me to set something up through virtually so that I can help you. I say that office hours are Wednesday 1:30 to 2:45 virtual. I'm not sure what platform I'm going to use yet. I think I'm going to start out using Echo 360 with the first Wednesday, but it might be that in the future I use Google Hangouts or I use Canvas Big Blue Button or something that allows better video conferencing for you guys to be on video while you're talking to me. What I've done in the past is I've had those office hours just be open times where I'm sitting at a whiteboard on camera, ready to answer your questions, ready to help. So there's times where it's an hour and 15 minutes straight of me answering questions the entire time, and I love those. I love answering questions. I hope you come. I hope you need help. I hope I can help you through anything that's giving you problems. But I've also had times where I sit there for an hour and 15 minutes waiting for anybody to show and nobody does. If that happens, there's no real recording. So it might be that after Wednesdays, you don't see a class upload if nobody came to get help. My general hope is that anybody coming to get help is going to ask questions that other people have the same question on. So if you're struggling on anything, you are not alone. There's going to be people who benefit from you coming to office hours, asking your question, getting it recorded to where other students can see how to answer those questions. I'm really hoping that people can make that time and use it. If that time ends up not being used a lot, I might open up other times, like later in the night on Wednesday, where I'd be available for a half hour by video conference. I just kind of got to see what your class needs and how to respond to it. But what I definitely am going to have is every Wednesday, 1:30 to 2:45. I will be there live, ready to answer your questions on anything that's troubling you in the class. As far as required student resources, you already pay it for Cengage. It's included with your tuition, so you do not need to pay any additional money. Basically, you just need to make sure the account is linked by going into Canvas, clicking on that first assignment, and then from that first assignment, you should be able to put in your username and password from your Manor email, which will forever link the accounts in Canvas and WebAssign. From then on, whenever you click on an assignment, it should just immediately open in WebAssign. The book, I would not recommend buying a print copy. If you love having a print copy of something, you can get them through Cengage relatively cheap because you already have a Cengage Unlimited subscription. But there's an ebook version that's available and clickable, which has every page that the print version would have and is there on your computer, accessed through WebAssign the same way that you answer the homework. As far as calculators, I always recommend a TI 30X2S because that does best with parentheses and other things that you can see as you're inputting that kind of get important later in the course. And it costs less than 20 bucks. I've seen them for as low as 12. I think on Amazon, they're usually around 15 bucks. They're so useful, I was able to convince my boss that we should get some to be able to check out in the library, and we did that. So, starting this semester, you can go to the library main desk, say that you need to check out a calculator for college algebra, and they have a list that lets you check it out just like a book. You can check it out for the whole semester, take it home with you, use it to do all the assignments. It is there and available as a resource. Currently, I have 10 of them there available for rent or not for rent, to take out. But if that ends up being something that's very popular, we can definitely get more and put more there. Let me know if you're not sure if your calculator would work. Pretty much any calculator works for this class as long as it can do exponents and parentheses. So if you're looking to buy one, this is the one I recommend. But if you already have one in your home, it's very likely that yours will be fine for the course. There may be times where I tell you look up on the internet or YouTube something if I don't know how to do it in your calculator. But for the most part, if you tell me what the model number is or send me a screenshot of it, I can help you through it. This next part of the syllabus goes over what we're trying to do with the course and kind of learning objectives we're fostering. It then tells us where you're going to be assessed. So the first thing that's mentioned is the Cengage online homework. Cengage and WebAssign are used interchangeably. They're really the same company. Cengage bought WebAssign, so they call it both. Basically, WebAssign is where it's hosted. It's through Cengage. That homework, which is always due on Wednesday nights at 11:59, is cumulatively worth 20% of your grade. I think there's a total of about 25 assignments in the class that are within this category, Cengage Online Homework. Um, I hope that everybody feels comfortable enough as they're working through it to ask me any questions. I will give you exact answers to any homework problems. If you're confused and ask me questions about it, I'm going to try and lead you to the answer first because I'd rather you learn from it. So I'm not just going to type back x equals 3, but I absolutely am going to do my best to work you towards the answer if you're having trouble with it. So if you try these problems earlier in the week, it's easier to get feedback and help later in the week from me. The next thing is the discussion board. Again, this is purely an effort grade for the discussion board. As long as you attempt it, you get full credit. That said, I am going to correct any math errors you make. I'm going to put it in comments and tell you, here's what went wrong, here's how it should have been done. So I do want you to try and do them correctly. I do want you to be somewhat concerned with, hey, how do I do this? But I don't want you to freak out if you're not really sure if you're doing it right. It's absolutely okay to make mistakes. You're not going to get any points off for a discussion board unless you don't turn it in on time. They will again be due on Wednesday nights. In-class assignments, every Monday there's 10-question quiz that's similar to the lessons that we're learning that week or similar to the test that you're taking that week. These in-class assignments appear in Canvas as quizzes, but really there's an accompanying video where I literally tell you the exact right answer to every one. So it functions more like a participation grade. They're also worth 10% of your grade. There's 5 tests, which total are 40% of your grade. These are the things I care most about in the class. Everything else is building you up. so that you can perform well on the test. Tests really tell me how well you understand the material. With other things, I'll give extensions, I'll walk you through, I'll tell you how to do things as you're doing them. By the time you get to the test, you need to be able to do it on your own. You're not allowed to have a tutor help you through the test. Once the test is open, you're not allowed to have a friend, anybody else work with you, classmate on the test. The sample test, you absolutely can get help on. The sample test is exactly like the real test and can give you the environment and show you what you'll need to know for the actual test. The test itself, you must do with one attempt only and in one single sitting. Some students are concerned about how much total time they have. The total time allotted, I think, is like 3 hours for a test that takes, on average, about a half hour for students to complete. So the total time should not be an issue. It's just a question of going out and coming back in. The browser doesn't let you do that. So please do not leave the test and come back in. It'll mark everything else wrong, and I cannot extend or give alternate attempts at the same test. There's one final exam worth 20% of your grade. It operates just like a test, and there's a sample final before it. Many students at the end of the year have just not taken the final and told me they didn't realize there was a final. There is absolutely a final exam in this class. Please, please, please do not skip the final exam. This goes over all the percentages and how they add up to 100, and then tells you how grades are. This is just the generic sheet from everywhere on at Manor, has this grading system. My attendance policy, basically, I put in attendance on Sundays. I look at that week's discussion board, that week's in-class assignment, and that week's online homeworks. If you've done all of them, you definitely get marked present. If you've done one of them, I mark you present usually, but might email you to tell you, hey, you need to be doing this more. My hope is that you're trying all three types of assignment each week and that you're showing an active participation in the class. So you're expected to interact with the course all those different ways. At the bottom of this syllabus, which is available and up in your Canvas page, is every single date that's due, every single thing that we're doing in the class. What's due the first week of class on that first Wednesday is just watching this video that you're watching now and answering the quiz in Canvas. It goes along with this video. As you can see, as we move down, each week I list what the different sections are that we're covering in the book, what then the online homeworks are associated with that, and then what's due through Canvas. This section over here, which lists problems and page numbers, I kept in the syllabus after going mostly online. These were things that were in the physical textbook that were similar to the questions that I was asking for homework. So basically, if you're looking for more practice on any specific topic, you can go in the ebook to this specific page, try these specific problems, and those are the problems that are most like what I'm asking you to do for homework. So they're never due. They're all listed here just kind of as if you want additional problems to try, either on your own or with a tutor or something, there's the best ones to look at. When we get to test weeks, you can see that there's no discussion board due, there's no in-class assignment. Or actually, I believe there is an in-class assignment. It's a test review, but it's not a quiz that's graded. So you have an ungraded sample test. I never require you to turn in these ungraded sample tests, but everybody who does them does better on the test in general because they tell you exactly what to look for. They let you know where you're struggling and where you're not. So I highly recommend taking the full sample test before you take the test. Some weeks to highlight as we go through here. One of these is Columbus Day that I didn't know about, so I think it was October 11th here, but I'm not supposed to have a class on Monday. What I'll probably do is just record the class and upload it, but not have it as an interactive session. Um, Wind down and get closer to the final. Just be aware that at the end here, things were a little tight, so I did make a week here where we're learning new material and taking a test, followed by taking the final exam. What I found is that this section that we get to at the end, if I break it up in this way, students tend to do better because the square root stuff that comes earlier in the section isn't really that bad.
and it leads nicely into the next stuff where the quadratic formula itself is really one of the more difficult things in the class and is the focus of the test. So I really want to be able to spend my time on that and make sure that I'm that's everything that I want to get to in this welcome video. I'm sure you have additional questions. What I would love for you to do is to come to Wednesday's live session, ask them then, let me walk you through everything that I can. If you have anything by email I can help you with, please email me. Here's my email, emolton@manor.edu. I look forward to working with you all this semester, and I hope that this wasn't a rambling mess and that you got something out of it. Again, please go to Canvas now. In Canvas, go to this first module, the important course information, and click on this Welcome to College Algebra quiz. This is going to let you take questions about what you just watched, which hopefully, if you watched intently, you will get right, or you can always go back to the video and double check. If you're not sure on one of the answers, email me. I will absolutely give you the exact answer.